Imagine stepping outside your home next year and harvesting berries, herbs, fruits, medicinal leaves, and wildlife-attracting blossoms, all from a living wall that never stops giving. A barrier that feeds you, shelters pollinators, blocks wind, enriches soil, and grows stronger with age. This is the Perpetual Edible Hedge, one of the most overlooked high-value gardening systems you can plant, and honestly, winter is the best time to start it. Most gardeners think winter means resting, waiting, or planting, but experienced homesteaders know that cold soil and dormant woodlands hold a special advantage. It's the perfect season to build long-term perennial systems, especially hedges that will feed your family for decades. Let's explore why this is the ideal moment, and how planting an edible hedge now sets you up for years of abundance. Why winter is the best time to build an edible hedge. Planting during the cold season may feel a bit counterintuitive, but here's why it works so well. Dormant plants experience zero transplant shock. Bare root shrubs, fruiting canes, and young trees are naturally asleep through winter. Putting them into the ground now means they save all their energy for root growth. They anchor themselves deeply, and they wake up in spring, just ready to explode with new shoots. Winter moisture does the hard work for you. No constant watering, no heat-induced stress, just slow saturation that encourages deep root establishment. And bare root plants are cheaper, and honestly, better. Winter is really the only season when you can buy bare root fruit bushes and hedge shrubs. They're, dramatically cheaper, healthier, easier to plant, and honestly, a lot faster to establish. A 30-foot edible hedge can actually cost less than a single raised bed in the spring. You get like a years-long head start. If you wait until spring, your hedge will spend the first season just recovering from transplanting, but planting now, it spends spring growing. So, what exactly is a perpetual edible hedge? Well, it's quite fascinating really. It's a living layered barrier built from perennial edible plants. Instead of using fencing made of dead wood, you create a wall of living food. Isn't that something? Now, let's talk about what makes a good edible hedge. It includes fruiting shrubs, herbal understory plants, and nitrogen-fixing support species. You also want pollinator attractants and perhaps dense thorny species for protection, though that's optional. And don't forget the ground cover living mulch plants. Quite the array, huh? And the result of all this? Well, you get food for humans, habitat for birds, and nectar for bees. Plus, you improve soil health for decades, gain privacy and wind protection, and achieve zero waste with zero annual replanting. A well-designed edible hedge becomes self-repairing and self-feeding. Isn't that just amazing? Alright, let's talk about the best plants to use for a winter-planted edible hedge. These choices are honestly some of my favorites for both productivity and resilience. Here's a proven mixed-layer system that thrives in most climates. The tall backbone layer, which grows about 4 to 8 feet tall, is where we start. You'll want to plant one every 2 to 4 feet. Good options here are hazelnut, which gives you tasty nuts, supports wildlife, and works as a windbreak, and Siberian pea shrub, which is a nitrogen fixer and offers edible pods. And, hey, don't forget about blackthorn, also known as sloe, which provides berries and makes for great natural fencing. Elderberry is another excellent choice, giving you both medicinal flowers and berries. Now, let's talk about the mid-layer fruiting shrubs, which typically grow about 2 to 4 feet tall. These plants are perfect for filling in the gaps between your taller trees and bushes. Some great choices include blackcurrant, gooseberry, blueberry, and aronia berry. They not only add diversity to your garden but also provide a steady harvest throughout the season. Raspberries are another fantastic addition, especially when grown in controlled areas. Honestly, they tend to produce really heavily with just minimal care, making them a super rewarding option for any homesteader. Moving on to the low-layer, herbal and medicinal plants. These are awesome for suppressing weeds and feeding your soil. Comfrey is a great example. It's excellent for biomass, makes a wonderful mulch, and acts as a potassium booster. Thyme is another favorite, serving as a ground cover and attracting tons of pollinators to your garden. So, let's talk about a couple more low-layer plants you might want to consider. First off, mint. Just make sure to keep it contained. It's an aromatic plant that also helps repel pests. And then there's oregano, which is not only edible, but also really drought-resistant. Now, for ground cover, or what some folks call living mulch, you want to fill any bare soil with things like strawberry plants, clover, which is a great nitrogen fixer, and creeping chamomile. These ground covers, they help keep moisture in the soil and weeds out, making your garden a whole lot easier to manage. So, let's talk about how to plant your perpetual edible hedge using a simple 5-step method. Step 1 is to mark your hedge line. Go ahead and choose a sunny or partly shaded edge for the best results. A 3 to 5 foot strip is enough, honestly, so you don't need a huge space to get started. Alright, step 2 is to lay down a trench of organic matter. You'll want to add things like coarse wood chips, compost, and leaves. This mix will really help enrich the soil and get things off to a good start. If you're dealing with heavy weeds, it's a good idea to put some cardboard underneath. This helps suppress those weeds and gives your plants a better chance to thrive. So, this creates a nutrient-rich corridor for roots to grow strong and healthy. Now, step 3 is to plant your bare root shrubs about 2 to 3 feet apart. Be sure to stagger the heights so you end up with a natural layered wall that looks great and supports a healthy ecosystem. Alright, step 4 is to mulch deeply. You'll want to add about 4 to 6 inches of leaves, straw, wood chips, or shredded bark. Just to really give your garden bed that extra layer of protection. Winter will compress it naturally, so don't worry if it looks a bit fluffy at first. Step 5 is to just let winter do the rest. Snow, frost, and rain will settle the soil and honestly help strengthen the roots. By spring everything wakes up ready to grow. So, why exactly do we call this hedge perpetual? Well, it's because the plants here are chosen and arranged in a way that lets them keep thriving year after year, with minimal intervention. Once it's all established, this system pretty much takes care of itself. Deep roots pull up minerals from way down in the soil, while nitrogen-fixing plants help feed the fruiting shrubs. Pollinators, they boost the yields, and the falling leaves create their own mulch. Plus, with dense planting, weeds really don't stand a chance. Pruning actually means more food, not more work. It's one of those garden elements that just keeps getting better every single year. Here's the real payoff. Decades of free food starting as soon as next year. Planting an edible hedge this winter, well, it means you'll get berries by next summer, nuts and fruit the following year, stronger yields every season, a richer ecosystem, less wind damage in your garden, more moisture held in the soil, and, honestly, long-term improvement for your soil. In under 12 months, your hedge starts feeding you. In 3 to 5 years, it turns into a permanent food-producing machine. And in 10 to 20 years, it'll be, without a doubt, one of the most valuable things on your property.